Welcome, Seamus Coleman. Delighted to have you on.
Thanks, Brian. Delighted to be on. Obviously, a big GAA fan, so I'm delighted to be on.
Big week for you as well. You're in camp at the moment. International coming up against England. Does the opposition this week make this international game that bit more special for you, Seamus?
Without sounding too boring, listen, it's a great game. It's a massive occasion against England, but me personally, it doesn't matter who we play. You know, when you grow up wanting to play for Ireland and supporting Ireland to play, put on that green shirt, regardless who you go out against, it's immense pride, and you want to win and you want to give 100% at all times. But I'm sure from the fans and even the players, look, we're looking forward to it, but it doesn't mean any more than any other games in terms of that pride you have when you put on that green shirt. It's always the same.
Jim McGuinness, he's a man you might have been coaching or certainly had in your squad as a player or as somebody to come in and speak to the Donegal players when you were in charge back in 2012 and the years surrounding there. But for sliding door moments, you could have been working under each other.
Well, you know, that I suppose that's life, isn't it, in many respects, and that's football. But many's a day we sat together as a group of players, or we're away in camp, and we'd be watching games on the TV, and Seamus would be involved in them, and it would come up regularly that he probably could have been within our camp, had things not worked out the other way. But everybody in Donegal obviously is very, very proud of him and what he's done and what he's achieved, and going on to captain your country, and the way he carries himself as well. It's fantastic. He's an amazing role model for everybody, and he wasn't a half bad Gaelic footballer, I can assure you that.
Yeah, Killybegg's very important to you as well. We had John Egan on Shamey last week, and John Egan made the point of how important it was for him to get back to his club. It's the same with you at Killybegs. You get great joy out of going back and spending some time with your former teammates and seeing some of the young future.
Listen, it's amazing to get back. You know, with lockdown and that, it was starting to ease a little bit in the summer. So when I got back, I was up watching the lads training and just itching to get involved in training. So I went up on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and I didn't chance my arm. And the following Tuesday, I got the bits on and joined in training. And listen, it was just great. It was great to be there, great to be around the lads. And as I said, it's a sport that means a lot to me, and it's something that I enjoy watching, enjoy playing, and enjoy staying in touch with the lads as well.
I know Peter and Jim both want to speak to you about your exposure to managers and what you've learned. Jim, I want to start with you and questions you might have for Seamus about the people that have guided him throughout his career from a management perspective.
Yeah, exactly. That would probably be the first question in my mind, would be sort of the managers that sort of you would hold up there in the highest esteem, and why. That would probably be the main question that I would be interested in.
Yeah, listen, Jim, I'm one of them players that regardless who the manager is, regardless of the situation, I'll always look at myself first. So if things aren't going well, I won't go, oh, well, the manager's tactics are bad today. You hold yourself accountable at all times. So regarding managers, to be completely honest, I could take bits and parts from them all that have been really impressive. David Moyes, a man I respect greatly, a man that I still follow his results and hope he does well. But if I didn't train well or didn't play well, it was more of a tough love. You know, it wasn't like pats on the back all the time. So you had that massive will to impress him at all times, because if you didn't do too well, you weren't getting a good morning and how was your day, you know, when you see him the next morning. And that's just the type of him. And I'm not the type that will be going home going, oh, the manager's not speaking to me, or the manager's not happy with how I played. I just want to get my head down and go again to impress him. But he was great for me. And then again, you go on to Roberto Martinez, tactically. First manager, you know, that added that to my game, you know, getting in at the back post as a fullback, coming inside as a fullback. So I could go through them all, and listen, at the minute, I'm playing with a manager who his background speaks for itself. He's a great man, first and foremost, very personable, genuinely, you know, cares how you are, how's a family. It's not just a question he throws away, and very, very simple in his tactics. You know, it's not loads and loads and loads of information. And as I said, his background speaks for itself.
Two questions for you, Seamus. Name me your favourite Donegal footballer of all time, And secondly,
Oh,
if Declan Bonner was to start you on Sunday against Armagh, what position would he be playing you in?
oh, well, not that I'm being too confident, but number 6 centre half back was my bread and butter. I really really enjoyed it. I love the defending side of being a centre half back, and getting forward when I can. I'd be always disappointed if I didn't chip in with a couple of points at least. So centre half back. But I'm sure there's a few boys in the Donegal team who can't remember me playing Gaelic, so they might think that I had no chance. But and then favourite Donegal player, I suppose. You always have to stay local, and thankfully, my time growing up, we had the Killybegs boys who won the All Ireland, and Manus Boyle, Barry McGowan was brilliant as well, and John Rasda, and all the Killybegs boys were fantastic, and but I suppose Barry McGowan was a classy player, and being a defender, he would have been one that I really looked up to growing up.
Well, let's go to one of the great experts on Donegal for a breakdown on how it might go. Will Seamus Coleman be smiling this weekend, Jim McGuinness?
I thought you were going to say there, will he be playing centre half back? I think he will. I think it's not going to be straightforward for Donegal, even though they'll be very hot favourites. I think probably the difference between the Tyrone team and the Armagh team is the physicality aspect of it. And I think if Armagh do force Donegal to go along, that they could make it a battle around the middle of the park. That said, I think, Donegal will probably have too much for them. Ryan McHugh actually was quiet the last day. Michael Murphy in periods as well. And the two back into the fold added to what they have. They have a lot going forward. Really happy to see Oisín Gallen coming in the last day, starting to show the country what he's capable of. Brennan, Michael. If we could get Pat McBurty back in the pitch now, that's really, really solid. As good as what's out there in terms of the country going forward. Big men around the middle of the park. Michael's playing in there as well. Hugh McFadden, Killeg's man. Michael Langan is really, really coming into himself. He's definitely a player, to my mind, that could go very, very far in the game. So Donegal have a lot going for them this year. It's going to take a really good team to beat them. I do believe, even if they do manage to get through Ulster and they're still successful, that they'll really put it up to Dublin as well if Dublin come out that other side.
You mentioned Michael Murphy there, Seamus Coleman. I read an interview to say you're one of the few men that managed to shackle Michael Murphy earlier on in his career. Is this true?
I did mark him. I did mark him when we I don't know, was it some county trials game or something like that. I did mark him back in the day, but I'm sure it wouldn't be as straightforward now. But listen, Michael's an unbelievable ambassador for Donegal. Any interview you read, his commitment for the game is incredible, and he's been unbelievable for Donegal, and a really, really nice man as well. So we're very lucky to have him in Donegal, but what a top Gaelic footballer he's been for Donegal over the years.
Solving the problem of how to keep Michael Murphy quiet, Peter Canavan, will be something that Armagh will have to come to terms with this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. But Jim touched on it. Both Murphy, Ryan McHugh, and you could even throw Jamie Brennan into the mix there. We're all very quiet against Tyrone, and I can't recall the last time those fellas went 2 games in a row playing poorly by their high standards. So Armagh have a lot on their plate to deal with those men, and the bench that Donegal have, and the players that haven't even been used.
Seamus, you mentioned David Moyes, one of the managers you had at Everton. He, of course, went and took over from Alex Ferguson at Manchester United. Some would say an unenviable task, inheriting a legacy such as Sir Alex's. Well, a first cousin of yours has got a similar road to run this year. Dessie Farrell, first cousin, taking over from Jim Gavin. Your assessment on how he's done so far?
Yeah, he's done well. As you said, it's a tough job taking over from Jim, but I think Dessie, I don't know, does he get the credit or does it be mentioned much, but he would have took a lot of them younger players through it at underage level, minor level, and I'm sure they've got that respect for him. So for the first time in a long time, I have a soft spot for Dublin. Like, but it's great. It's great to see him in charge there, and it would be great for the family. You know, if he's successful, listen, you know, we want him to do well. Obviously, we're Donegal, but Desi, for me, growing up, you know, someone you looked up to. You know, he used to come home, he'd kick the ball with you outside the front, like, and you know, so I hope he has a successful campaign, like. But yeah, it's a tough job, but he's got the big shoulders, I'll tell you that. Yeah.
We get all the great headlines here, Jim McGuinness. Seamus Coleman has a soft spot for Dublin. Did I see you recoil back in your chair when those words came out of his mouth?
Well, blood's thicker than water.
Seamus, your Everton teammates, do they know much about hurling and football? Have you found yourself as an educator?
Yeah, I found myself as an educator, definitely. Listen, I don't expect them to understand our game. You know, it's not something that they grew up with, but now it's on Sky, you see it a little bit more. But you try and talk it up as best you can, and as honest as you can, because at the end of the day, the training these boys done, and even in Jim's time when, you know, there was massive interest in the county as well, the lads were machines. They were incredibly fit. They were unbelievable athletes, and they're going to work then, maybe after winning Ulster final. Well, some of them might turn up to work for a little bit after that, but they still have to go into work, and they still have to get on with their family life, their daily life. So they're training equally as hard as some professionals, and it's a credit to them, and it's something that you do try and tell the lads over here. You try and explain it as best you can. You know, on All-Ireland final day, you've got like a full house, and the lads might have to go to work the following week. So it is something you try and explain as you can.
Okay, before we finish off on the Ulster Championship, and we thank you for your time, Seamus, Peter will go to you on Cavan and Down and tell us how you see this one unfolding. The bookies making Down the slightest of favourites. Would you agree?
Yeah, probably would. You recall at the launch for the championship, Brian, we spoke about the possibility of a number of games going to extra time and the possibility of games being decided for the first time by penalties. We still haven't seen that. And Sunday, I wouldn't be surprised if that. Yeah, we got close. We came within seconds with Limerick and Tip. But I see very little between these sides. Both of them, for long periods, played very defensive football, and Antrim in particular had chances actually to beat Cavan. Cavan played really well to defeat Monaghan. A lot was expected of them. A lot of people would have thought they would have taken care of Antrim easy enough. They didn't. They struggled against Antrim, so I would expect them to play much better this time round again. Down. Likewise, Down and Fermanagh was very cagey, was very defensive, and I think both teams will go at it, and there'll be more football in it. Down possibly may shaded by a point or two, but look, I wouldn't be surprised if it went extra time, and I wouldn't be surprised if this one was decided on penalties.
Okay, thanks very much for that. But no doubt the focus of Jim McGuinness and Seamus Coleman will be on the game. You can see it with us on Sky Sports. That's Donegal and Armagh. Our thanks to Seamus Coleman. The very best of luck against England in the international match and continued success at Everton. Thanks to Jim McGuinness and to Peter Canavan. And after this break, we will focus on hurling in the company of Ollie Canning and JJ Delaney.